So hello everyone. Thank you for joining the 14th Insiders Call. Today we're going to start with hearing from you all, some community updates, and then we're going to jump into a lightning talk from Chris. I added the frying pan emoji because he's cooking up something special. Yeah, I was quite confused with this emoji. Then we're going to jump into entity segmenting. Nicole's going to walk us through that. And then we'll also do, if we have time, a few product updates, and then we'll have after hours. All right, so to get us started, we have a little bit of time here to go around the room if you want to share a project milestone, anything that you're working on, something you might want feedback on. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here just so that we can see everyone's faces. Oh, looks like Chris. There we go. You're still sharing. Can you stop? There we go. Perfect. Thank you. Does anyone want to share what they're working on? Any milestones?
Maybe.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, please.
Not a little, but a small thing. We just update our database server last week, and now we have Python on the server, so we will be able to play a lot with databases and central and entities. So the next year will be much fun with ODK.
Awesome. Anyone else? I guess this goes for the team too. Well, we're going to do some product updates, but also no one else?
I'll share just real quick. I put
Yeah, go for it.
a couple posts on Showcase this past week and have been playing around with the central API, connecting it to Google Sheets. And I also was able to get that connected to the Todoist app, which is a task management app. So now I have my Todoist tasks synced into a choice list in a form for ODK for our farm employees.
Very impressive. You want to pop those links into the chat where probably people can find them on the forum quite easily. Yeah, that's really, really exciting stuff. Okay. I think a lot of people on the call presented last time, so maybe there's no new updates.
Yeah,
That's all right.
I can come in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay, sure. So this is nothing new, but I've just started a project. I've done this similar work like this before earlier as well. So it's in Solomon Island. A local government has started a project of uh, mm, doing a survey for the incomplete houses for the construction of which lies with the government. So they want the survey team to go into the field, take the pictures, and then register the status of the project along with what is needed. And so, kind of an entry of what raw material is needed and whether the project, the contractor's claim needs kind of a verification or evidence. So they take pictures and then they submit it to the server. And then there's going to be a weekly exercise by them. And I'm building a dashboard on top of it in order to give some more features about verifying the data and then completing the loop outside a little bit of ODK, like sending them SMS or sending them emails or their reports through PDF about all the BOQs that they have submitted. And then there's reward and punishment type of activity based on the submission delay or completion before time. So a little bit of construction work monitoring done by ODK. Thanks.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Thank you. All right. Any last takers before we jump into the lightning talk? Okay, let's do it. Then, Chris, I will hand it over to you to share QODK, what you've been working on with your entity-based workflow. Yeah, we're really excited to have another community talk. So take it away and share your screen.
Yeah, thanks. Let's see if this will work. I think. Let's do this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Sure. Right. So this is QODK, whatever you want to call it. So it's a plugin for QGIS, so that we can talk between QGIS and ODK. It's one of probably many of these things. What I thought I would try and do is run you through it. This is the kind of interface. I've tried to be as graphical as I can, point and click, so that things are as easy as they can be. But I'll give you a bit of kind of concept and background as to A, why I needed it, and B, what I did to get here. So I've been using QGIS for donkey's years. Sorry, Stuart, lots of years, and came into ODK in about 2016, I think, maybe 17. And I've always been trying to link the two, and I've always, a lot of the data that I collect is geographically based. So I'm always putting things into QGIS. And QGIS, as hopefully you'll all know, works on layers with particularly vector layers, points, lines, and polygons. And those are the sorts of, that's the data that I tend to collect. And then in ODK, I'm kind of doing the same sort of thing. So the sort of concept is to try and connect the submissions from ODK and stick them into QGIS. The way I was doing it for years was with a CSV file. And this kind of shark-infested waters of CSV files, and pulling things across from briefcase and aggregate and now central. So essentially what I tried to do is to replace that idea of using CSV files with a connector. But of course, there's also data going back the other way, and particularly the offline layers moving from QGIS to ODK. And that's has been a really important part for us, particularly trying to work out where we're going to collect data. And I've usually used these base maps, but I'm trying to update. So QODK was born out of a need to try and make my life a little bit easier. When we're doing kind of data collection exercises, we want to keep up to date with what's going on and download the data on an ongoing basis. So if you're doing that with CSVs, it starts to get either clumsy or repetitive or both. So the idea is to be able to collect submissions and put them into QGIS very quickly. And then the complication comes in, or the joy of entities comes in, where we need to be able to work with entities. And some of those entities, in my case, are geographically based. So I need to get them back from ODK, both submissions and entities. And then I want to try and get things from QGIS back into into ODK through entities. So we're working in a bi-directional kind of thing. And I really want to be able to sort of cycle things back and forth between the two. And doing that with CSVs and my level of Python coding, it gets a bit difficult. So this is essentially what I've been trying to do, and it's focused around central, so it doesn't work on anything else. And the idea is to hopefully make it a little bit easier. So here we go. I'm hoping nobody can see me paddling underneath, but we're going to try a demo. When you start up QODK, if you haven't entered any credentials, it'll open the settings page, and you need to put in your URL for the server, the username and password. Now, this is an area of interest to me in terms of the permissions. And what I've suggested, particularly with QODK, is to make people project viewers. And that way they haven't got any permissions to change data on the ODK, on central server, but they can read everything. But of course, they can then read all of the data within a project. So that becomes challenging for some folk who have project managers that can only or should only see part of it. So there's an issue there that I haven't been able to resolve. Essentially, before we go into the live demo, in case it doesn't work, this is what it looks like. It looks a little bit daunting to start with, but if you think about starting from the top left and working your way down the form, you should be able to create or generate data. So once you've been through the process, it might look a little bit like this. And let's see if it'll work. Fingers are crossed. Let's go to, can you see QGIS now?
Yeah.
Yep, good, okay. Right, except I can't see, there we go, plugins. So QODK, here we go. Right, so the first thing to do, I've already got my password sorted, so I'm not going to show you that, or my username and things, so I'm not going to show you that, but we can connect to Central. And once you've connected, that button goes green, and it then gives you a list of the projects that are on that Central and the ones that you have access to. So it is limited by project. I'm going to go with all of mine. What I'm going to start with, some data that I collected this morning. So you select which project you want, and you can then select your time range. So you can do today's date, you can do any kind of range, or if you really want to, you can ignore the dates and download everything from a particular form. So we're just going to pick up one form, this one here. And if it has got valid data, it changes the colors and it tells you how many submissions it's found, tells you how many attachments are there, and whether there are any repeats. It'll tell you which repeats there are. So we can preview the data there. We need to select which geometry column to use, because I've got more than one in this particular form. I've got a start point and an end point. So I want to use the start point, and I want to put this into the good old-fashioned OSGB. And as soon as you've done those things, these possibilities light up. So we can load the layer to canvas. And it's there, he says, hopefully. there are my points that I collected today, I hope. Let's zoom to that layer. There we go. There's some points. Let's put some backdrop on it. So those are my points. And the good thing is, if I've got existing styles, I can use those styles in QGIS like that. So the data is already there, and oh, let me just put it on the right page. We've now got the data available to us. And to go back to QODK, we can also download the attachments. So any data that is media that is in there, we will put in a folder. Put it lightning. There we go. So it then just downloads the pictures that you've got. Come on, be a bit quicker than this, because I want to change. So this is the area of if you download too many at once, it takes you forever. So I've also got the repeat group, which is this set. So if I load that layer, there's only one point. Load that layer. And we now have a new layer. Right. So we can now see the data from this morning. So quite quickly, we've got the images. This was might have been my dog walk this morning. So we can view that data very quickly. So that's the easy part of downloading data from ODK. We also have entities that we can play with. Let's go to testing and let's have a look at these entities. You can either download things that are new from a particular date or things that have been updated from a particular time. So I think I've got, oh, none. Okay, I thought I got a few. Oh, yeah, there we are. Few. So I've got four, and you'll notice there's a few of these have got this lovely bold on them because we have a problem with OData, I think, in that OData seems to change hyphens to underscores. So when you bring data across, it appears to be in the wrong, have the wrong name. What this does when you load the entities, because entities are agnostic about geometry, that has the potential to break things with QGIS. So QGIS has to divide them into the relevant layers. So let's move to that. And we can see, so we've got some data here. This isn't real data, but I thought I would show you what we can do. So we've got polygons, we've got points, and we've got a line somewhere here. So that's one entity list. But what I've got a problem with is that this one is overlapping. So what I want to do is to make some changes. Oh dear, what's happening there? Let's adjust that. The reason I'm doing that is because what I want to do is update the entity. So I'm now going to do some entity management. So I recognize this is all a bit quick, but we can create a new entity list based on one of the layers. So I could choose that layer that I brought down and call it paths. And then I can give it a number. And if it's okay, if it's happy with that, it goes green. If you have something that won't work as a layer, as a label, then it will tell you you can't. Or if you've got things that are duplicates, it'll tell you it's a duplicate, but it will still allow you to do it. If you've got a UUID field, you can use that, and you can then create the entity properties from this. There you go. That becomes our entity list. So we would export that to a CSV. That'll do. And then it gives you a PyODK script to create an entity list. I'm not going to do that because I've got enough junk on my central server as it is. But what I am going to do is use this. I'm going to start again with QODK and go to entity management. And I'm paddling frantically. Right. So this is the entity list that I drew down, and I now want to upload this. There we go. So automatically, if you've matched a list that's on your server with a QGIS layer, it will fill in the rest for you, he says confidently. And for the observant amongst you, marker color came in as a marker underscore color. It goes out as marker hyphen color. I broke that, so it might not work for you. But I'm going to save this here. And I'm going to try and do this live. I want to update. So I've got an update script. This particular set of entities. And basically, it's about to go pear-shaped. Yay! Oh, indented block, of course. So where are we? I'm reading this badly. Okay,
In the
that's
version
failed.
name.
I think version needs to be indented.
Version has to be indented.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good point. Let's try that again. Thank you. There we go. It's updated them. So if I could use my phone, I would be able to show you, but my connection to my phone's not working. So let's just go back and download it again. Oh, no. And I want to look at things that have been updated today. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, and it's picked up the wrong ones that have been updated. So we failed again. Okay, that's the trouble of paddling too hard. I've just failed on that, but that is what it is supposed to do. And I think I'm going to stop at that point because I've blown my own brain, and I've probably blown yours. Sorry, that was so fast. I'd taken the crown from Andrew.
That was super great and so brave to do a live demo. It's always so nerve-wracking. And it worked really well.
Paddling.
Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was going to say, yeah, going live and having only one little error is excellent work. Very, very, very cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I'm curious, did you have anything else you wanted to kind of talk through before we jump to questions, Chris?
No, I think that's, I mean, it's basically the key thing is working out your workflow, and trying to match the layers on QGIS with either your entities or your submissions. And that's been a big sort of issue for me over the years. And this has really simplified life for me. It also means that I don't have to download other people's data for them. So they can now update their QGIS projects as they go on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So it's my redundancy package. It helps me a lot when we're working on maybe a dozen projects. It means you can get the data as quickly as that person wants it. So that's what it's about for me.
Yeah, that's great. Does anyone have any questions for Chris? We'll share the video so we can rewatch it. And I think the point you made about we will, unless you don't consent, of course. Then we can change. Mathieu, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Great job, Chris. Thank you. How do the layer persist on your computer? Is it GeoJSON or which format do you use to get the data on your computer?
They come in scratch layers. They're native QGIS layers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's probably an important point to make, is that they're all temporary layers. So you can save those. You can use there's a plugin called Append to Layers that allows you to append to existing layers on the basis of wanting a key, if you like. So that becomes, again, useful for not duplicating stuff.
This is so great, Chris. Thank you. I have two quick questions. I'll start with the less spicy one. Just a clarification. What's that?
You're going to get revenge for all my spicy questions.
No. This is more spicy towards our team. I just want a clarification on, you showed the QuODK snippet. Is the reason that you do that because you don't want to use the bulk upload because it only has append, it doesn't have upload, it doesn't have update?
Okay, I tried update and it's me that's the problem, trying to work out exactly how to use it. I was trying to keep it as simple as possible. And the reason that I've kind of split it in this way is that I felt that if I integrated QuODK into QODK, sorry, QuODK into QODK, there was definite possibility for kind of car crash. So somebody who's using QGIS who doesn't understand ODK could wreck the server, could wreck entities. So that's why I chose to go QuODK script. And I was looking at a few examples, and I found that the update was a a better way to go than merge. I was struggling with merge because it can do so many things. And if you, as you know, I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs, but if you get it wrong, it's really difficult to untangle it. So I've tried to keep it simple with create, update, or append, update, and delete. So that allows you to manage the whole kind of entity list remotely without having to log into Central. That was really what I was trying to do. Those scripts are not perfect, but they work, and you've kind of then got a log and you can select a subset of the entities and update and delete a subset and that kind of thing. So I've kept it as simple as I can. I can't anticipate everybody's kind of requirements, and that's also the reason for using temporary layers, because if you try and import it into somebody's existing layers, it might break if their layer doesn't match the central layer. So keep things separate, keep things simple in my brain.
That makes sense. Thank you. That makes sense. And then the spicier question is, how much of this were you thinking at any point, like, I wish this were built into Central? This is the key question that we always have, is what should the boundary be? So are you kind of feeling like, oh, this is a nice separation, like you said, keep things separate, keep things kind of isolated, so to minimize errors? Or are you kind of thinking, this key thing I wish were in Central so that we could do it more simply?
I think I've probably got over the hump of needing Central to do anything different for this requirement. It's been a sort of definitely necessity being the mother of invention with this, and so in a way, it's purely I've had to learn Python and I've had to learn how to do it. So I've restricted it to what I really need to do. And that's probably an advantage to me in that there's no whistles and bells. So it will do, it'll still break, but it'll do the things I need it to do. And I hope that it covers the majority of different people's needs, sort of practical needs. It will be a bit clunky. And I think the one area in terms of monitoring is the map view in Central. That will be really helpful, as we discussed in the last meeting. That's really useful for monitoring what data has come in. But as it stands, QODK is much more about drawing down your data, being able to analyze it within QGIS. So it's anything that you do after you've collected the data. And I am a strong advocate of don't make Central try and do too many things, because it won't be able to do everything for everyone. So you're on a hiding to nothing, I think. I hope that the team think that's a good idea as well. So I'm not asking for too many new sort of fancy things.
Thanks a lot.
All right, maybe we can have one more quick question before we hand it over to Nicole. We also have the after hours. I don't know if, Chris, you could stay.
Yeah, I'll be around. Yeah.
Amazing. Any more spicy questions? Quick, spicy questions?
I'm off the hook.
All right. Awesome. Nicole, do you want to take it from here?
I was just going to say the final thought actually is, if you've got any questions, stick them on the forum there. There's also the repository if you find things wrong. I'm waiting for your call, Andrew.
Yeah, I just need to get it actually working. I think I've got a pandas issue in my installation that isn't letting it function at the moment, but I did find a typo and sent you that, so.
Well done. All right. Thank you so much, Chris. Round of applause. Well done for the brave demo.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And I hope this is the right one. Yes. Awesome. And now I've lost you all. Oh, here you are. Okay. So a bit of a hard topic switch. I'm going to be talking about entity segmenting, which we've talked about as user management, limiting entity access to app users. It's all the same body of work that we are doing. And just to give a quick recap on the context, the goal is to ensure better security, to evolve as we're building connected features, and to support scalability. So quick recap of earlier phases. Our first phase, we are working on single ownership, where single app users, like individual app users, can see either all entities or only the entities they own, so ones they create. Phase 2 will be reassigning ownership, so PMs can reassign those entities from phase 1, so you can change the owner to a different app user. And phase 3 was originally group ownership, so app users being assigned to groups, entities being tied to those groups. That was the concept we were exploring. And now we are evolving phase 3. So thanks to everyone's feedback, the technical considerations, and the variety of use cases we've seen, we are evolving our thinking around phase 3. So instead of introducing a separate group system, we are going to be moving towards entity segmenting by using app user properties. So what that means is that rather than creating and managing separate groups, you'll be able to optionally add properties to app users and assign values to them during creation, and edit them from the app users list. You'll also be able to filter access rules using these properties to determine which entities a user can see. And you'll also be able to reuse properties across multiple entities, making it easier to keep access logic consistent across lists like farmers, plots, and harvest. So why this approach? Flexibility, so users can create any segmentation scheme to fit their projects. Like you can create any value for your property. Consistency, so the same property can be used to control access across multiple entities without managing separate group definitions. And also, we can start to think about app users in this case as entities themselves, which also have properties and can be filtered, similar to choice filters in forms. And yeah, so it aligns with Central's current data model. Properties are already a familiar concept. Groups aren't necessarily, and we are exploring the concept of properties across different aspects of Central's data model. So this will be and I'm not the first, but the second. And so that's where we are with our thinking. There is a forum post with more details on that if you want to check it out. But yeah, opening the floor to any questions or feedback or concerns.
I have a question. Are the app user properties, would we be able to use those, for example, in order to filter users across projects or different forms within a project as well, or is this currently only being looked at with entities?
Currently only being looked at with entities, but that doesn't close the door to the other things you mentioned. That might just be a later step.
I think if you have specific ideas along those lines, it's worth sharing them on the thread if you can, because that might give us some ideas, for how to make sure that we're representing things generally enough. We may not have thought about what you have in mind when you're saying you want to filter forums. I think I have an idea, but it's possible it's not exactly the same as what you have in mind. We've also thought about things like, maybe the app user list could be available for forms to access as well. So there's lots of things that we could do. So basically, you could have a special entity list that is the app user list. In some workflows, that might be appropriate. In others, it wouldn't be at all. But in some, it might be appropriate to have those properties be accessible within forms. One thing you mentioned, Tyler, was across projects. App users are still currently a within project concept. So that is not something that would be projected to be possible. But again, I think giving a little bit more detail on what you have in mind might give us some useful ideas.
I mean, I was just those were my first two immediate thoughts, and probably more so the different forms rather than different projects. But I guess as far as I'm aware currently, if you had a bunch of different users right now, there isn't a great way to kind of assign them to groups or roles. That, let's say you wanted this role 1 to have access to 3 out of the 5 forms, that kind of thing is the direction that I was thinking.
We're aligned.
Sort of follow on almost from that, and being more specific, I put it on the forum already, is that desire to be able to make this in parallel, perhaps with web users as well. If the same concept is available, that would be really powerful in terms of access to submissions, and potentially that whole kind of filtering in a secure way. That would be fabulous. And the case in point is QODK. That would be really powerful to be able to filter at the server level, so it doesn't come out of central. At the moment, I tend to work with, I'll say people I trust, but I tend to give access to people who it doesn't matter if they see the rest of the data within that form. But I can't guarantee that that's going to be the same going forward. I've got a couple of projects coming up that it would be really useful to have some segmentation then. So if that concept can be translated, I think it's really great.
Yeah, that's really good feedback and definitely something we are looking at exploring. Anyone else? All right, awesome. Well, if any other questions do come up or any requirements you might think of that might help your own workflows with this approach, feel free to comment on the forum. Discussion is always open. So moving on to product updates. So what is happening with Central in 2.3? We have fixed public access links with the last save instance, and the space character in the URL is shown as a plus in Enketo for the pre-filled value after redirection. So the 2 fixes went out. What we're currently working on is changing entity ownership, like we just talked about, creating entities from a repeat, viewing submissions and entities on a map, and allowing users to bulk delete. I should say it's not just bulk delete. The bulk feature is happening in Central, and we're starting with delete, but you're going to be able to do a lot of things with that. So really exciting times. And over to Ali for web forms. Yeah, and as part of that release some of those fixes, we also released some web forms fixes with improving the numeric field. So now it's limited to a max of 9 digits, integer fields no longer allow decimal values, and then we also made it a little bit easier to identify errors, with making sure that that feedback is really clear for required fields. So that was part of those fixes as well. What we're working on now is select one from map, and here's a little sneak preview of what we've been cooking up. Jennifer's on the call as well. So we are looking at ways where we can really make sure the visual feedback, once it's selected and saved, is really clear, especially if you have your own styling. This becomes a little bit tricky to make sure that it's still really clear. And so we're exploring this kind of glow for lines and shapes as well as points, as you see here, being able to remove it, view details. So this is what we're working on now. We're going to share more on the forum soon, so we'd love to get your feedback. And we're also working on allowing PMs to edit geodata. A lot of you tested out the prototype at the summit, and so we're still working on that. And a lot of these things are really intertwined, so it's quite helpful to kind of work on them in parallel. So for collect, we've been working on faster barcode scanning, making it much quicker. And if you have low quality codes, or maybe you have a partial code, or maybe there's kind of like two codes overlapping, we give you visual feedback, a little orange box, and then an X, as well as a tick for when it's successful, and a little snack bar that shows when it's successful. So we've been working on that, as well as being able to safely delete projects with unsent forms. So Chris shared this very sad loop that you can get into if you have unsent forms and you're trying to delete your project. And so now for any kind of project deletion, we're going to share this on the forum so you can see what it looks like. But there is some of this already, but you'll see a summary of what you're going to delete, your sent forms, unsent forms. So it's really clear. There's no way of like kind of making a mistake, as well as like entering a word delete, so that you can safely delete it if you want to, if you're testing things out. So we're working on that, as well as form download feedback when your screen is locked. So in Match exactly on the server, just default and central, your forms will continue to download when your screen is locked on collect, and then you'll get a notification. You'll be able to get clear feedback to refresh when it's failed, when it has succeeded. And so hopefully that will just be a lot better feedback, so that you know to take action and you're not like just hoping something is downloading. So we'll share more of that on the forum. And then lastly, faster updates for forums with thousands of attachments. And so in parallel with these updates on Collect, Web Forms, and Central, we're also running some user research on entity first experience, as well as branding or theming ODK. So that's kind of also in the works, but more on the discovery side of things, so that we can kind of de-risk some of these ideas before we start thinking about how we might prioritize them on the roadmap. I believe, yes, great. So the next call will be on October 1st. Actually, maybe let's pause before we go to next steps. Does anyone have any questions about any of those updates we just shared? I know that's a lot. We're working on a lot of cool stuff. We've been having some fun. Oh, sorry, I'm missing the chat. Yes, please.
I have a question. This is Yao.
Yeah, go. Hello, Yao. I know your voice.
Could you go back to the web forms page?
Yeah.
Am I correct in that? Am I seeing entity properties in that dialog?
You are. Yes,
Can
you
you
are. As an example, this is something we'll obviously be working towards. Yeah, we're using, this is the summit demo, kind of building on that.
Okay.
Yeah, just to make it kind of, this is where we're heading, to make that clear.
Awesome.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yes. Did I miss anything else in the chat here? Okay, all good things. Any other questions from anyone?
I think it was alluded to, so bulk delete is coming for as of the next, but was it more than just bulk delete? Is it bulk something else? Or is it just, at this point, is it just bulk delete?
Good question. I don't know if Saad's on the call to speak to it. I know for sure bulk delete is being worked on. We are working on bulk ownership reassignment as part 2 of the entity segmenting. We have, Ellen, what else are we working on? That's it, bulk related.
In this coming release, it's only the bulk delete, but yeah, like the other ones are coming up. Andrew, what do you want to bulk?
I'm not going to ask because it'll be everyone like asking for too many things, too much stuff. But I was just curious because I thought it sounded like there was bulk plus something else. Sorry, delete and. So it's just confirming. Bulk delete is great. That's an excellent first step. Just to be able to suddenly, because as I'm sure many of us have lots of orphan entity lists and lots of orphan entities in our entity lists when we're testing and changing and modifying and realizing we've missed a field or we've needed a different property or something else. So to suddenly just be able to very, very quickly just be like, goodbye.
It's worth saying the thing that you want because it might already be nearby, near.
I think it was, so perhaps not, well, it would be maybe bulk upload, which allows a merge or edit for existing properties as opposed to bulk upload new. That would be, because you can use Crystal, pull your data, make your changes, and potentially do it fully manually if you are just download the whole thing, make some other changes and re-upload that set, where you've just changed a whole bunch of properties across that set. And you just want to re-upload a CSV of everything with the changes scattered all over the place.
Yeah, it is something that we think about a lot. It'd be so useful. It's also very dangerous potentially, so we want to make sure that we signal well about it.
Yeah.
We're thinking about it quite a bit also in the context of these app user properties that we're introducing, because it would be great if, like you described, you could download your existing list of app users, set their properties, re-upload it, and then there you go, instead of having to do it all through the UI if you already have a lot of app users. So there's kind of like these analogous things that are popping up in the system that we would want to have bulk updates for. So, yep.
Well, any other questions about product updates?
What's coming next in Collect? Do we know? Can we share? Like after this stuff ships?
I feel like so we have all this research in progress, and we want to, there's a lot of feedback. Yeah, because I think initially we were thinking maybe we'll kind of make some headway around the entity first experience. We've gotten a lot of feedback from the summit as well as from this recent round of research. There's a lot of things that people want to do with the current workflow and improve a lot of different pieces. So what we're going to do, I think, is take a look at those, kind of reprioritize and think through what makes most sense to work on next. Ellen, do you want to add to that? I kind of feel like we need to kind of reevaluate based on what we're learning.
I think that's right. I think another big one is offline entities from repeats.
Yes, right. Yeah. Yes, good question. Always be iterating and adapting. Always, there's so much great feedback, and I think, yeah, just like keep sharing on the forum, and even if we can't address it now, it may come a little bit later, and that just helps us build up our repository of evidence. So don't hold back. please share. So our next one will be our next call on October 1st. If you want to do a lightning talk, you want to demo something you're working on, that would be wonderful. Just let us know. Anyone on the team can reach out to me or anyone here. We would love to see your work. So let us know pretty soon, and then we can start getting that in the works. And then if you have any feedback on entity segmenting, anything that Nicole shared, in addition to all the other product updates, please share on the forum. And we'll stay on for a little bit if anybody wants to chat about anything else in the after hours. We finished on time ahead of schedule, which is a miracle.